Hey guys, Richard back here, our Killer GB. I'm going to talk about something a little bit different today. Mostly my spiritual beliefs, and this isn't like the name of the video says, an alternative look at Christianity. Now, I was raised Christian. And I remember when I was a kid, I'll start out with this. I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother taking me to kindergarten or Sunday school at the local church. And I remember they had a chalkboard in there. And they wrote up on that chalkboard a heart. They drew a heart up on the chalkboard. And they took this little tiny corner of it and colored it in with chalk. And they turned around and looked at all of us kids and said, "Okay, kids, that's sin. That's on everybody's heart." And I'm thinking, okay, how did that get there? And they started explaining, well, that came from Adam and Eve, the first man and woman. And it came from them eating the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. And I went, oh. And it says God put that on every human after they did that. And I'm thinking, wow, they were the first humans around a long, long, long time ago, dead and gone now, and God put that on everybody. Past that they didn't even have any choice in the matter whatsoever. And I got this ugly feeling in my gut. Like, no, I don't think God would be that way. I don't want to believe in a God who would make such a wonderful life, such a wonderful experience here for us, create something like that. It just didn't sit right with me. But through indoctrination, through the churches, I eventually came to believe it. Well, then lo and behold, about 25 or so I had some perils in my life, and decided to look into some other things. I'm not going to mention any books or anything whatsoever here. It's just I did some reading into the Bible and other things, and I happened to find something, and it changed my whole belief system completely, and I completely believe differently now. I have an idea, and I like to think that my love of science, which I absolutely love. I love quantum theory and quantum physics and the whole thought of the quarks and what's inside of atoms and what makes up everything. Things that are really small, because they tend to fit into my belief system about, how we create our own reality and so on and so forth. But I'll get into that later. But the main topic of focus I want to deal with tonight, or right now, is mostly Christianity, not so much the science side of it, but the Christian aspect. And there is a few major points in the Bible, and I like to refer back to the Bible because I believe there's a lot of truth in the Bible. I don't believe the whole thing is true. I believe there's lots and lots and lots of truth. I think it's mostly truth. And I also think that there's truths that have been distorted quite a bit in it through translation from the original Hebrew text because, it's because of what words are. Words are most often open to misinterpretation. They're the easiest to be open to misinterpretation. I mean, somebody talks about, a tree, and then somebody else talks about the feeling a tree gives them. That might be two separate words or it might be one word but have two different meanings depending on the words that come before or after it in other languages. So, I mean, the actual word can change with, and that subtlety is really hard to discern sometimes. And the first one I'm going to start off with is one of the very beginning ones that God created the heavens and the earth in the Bible, Genesis 1:1 pretty much. And I'm going to go to the main thing with it, that I know everybody out there that's ever had any Christian background whatsoever knows about, and that is God created us in the likeness and image of Him. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And if you look at what the likeness and image of God is, He is a sentient, conscious energy that knows and is aware of Himself and what He is, and He's able to create whatever He wants. So why can't we put every one of those aspects to us? That we are conscious, sentient beings that are aware of ourselves and can create whatever we want. And thusly we do so in life every day. You create situations, good ones, bad ones, so on and so forth. Now, that's my idea on the whole Christian thing. A lot of Christians want to say, oh, no. He just gave us a spirit, the mind, body, and spirit, the whole three-part thing. That's the likeness and image of God. 3 parts, the three-part thing, yeah. Well, yes, I'll get into that a little bit later. What I'm trying to refer to, or what I'm getting at is, we move along a little bit later on in the story, and Moses comes to God at some point and asks God, says, what is your name? He asked God what his name was. And God said, I am that I am. And that's what God declared his name was, is I am. Well, we use that as a declaration to ourselves. Like, I am happy. I am bored. I am joyous. I am in love. I am is God's name. So if you are using it in reference to yourself, are you not saying you are God? Think about that one. Jesus did the same thing. And now I believe in Jesus. I think Jesus lived. I think Jesus dies. And I think Jesus rose again. Now I'll get to a point of why and how I believe he did all that. Or what happened there. To get back to the other point, Jesus was asked by some priests in a temple one time, if you're the Son of God, what's God's name? And Jesus replied, I am that I am. And the priests got kind of pissed off because that was supposed to be the sacred text that only the high priests of the temple were able to read. And so they were like, how does this heretic know of the sacred texts that are hidden away that nobody else can read? How does they know of this? Because we, the high priests, are ones that are supposed to control the knowledge of God going out to the masses. And that's the way it was back then. And so they got kind of mad at Jesus. That was the whole Pontius Pilate thing and the whole execution of Jesus. Well, I'm going to go to John 3:16 now. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that they believeth in him, they shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, what I think happened there is one little word got lost in translation. It should be spoken as, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him shall know that there is everlasting life, and know that they will not perish. See, it does not say anything about, if you don't believe in God, you are going to perish, period. It's usurped elsewhere in other things, and put in Dante's Inferno. Most of our ideas of hell and what it is, it comes from a lot of other literature other than the Bible itself. And look it up, you'll find out. There's very few mentions of hell in the Bible, and there's very few mentions of the devil. It talks of angels, it talks of fallen angels, it talks of other things, but it doesn't talk of Satan and the evil devil and the one with horns and the gnashing of teeth. Well, the gnashing of teeth is in the Revelations, but Revelations was something else entirely. It had to do with the Roman Empire and the current ruler of Rome at the time. I think John or Paul wrote Revelations. I'm not sure. I think maybe it was Paul, because Paul was the one that got turned on the road to Damascus. I believe it was Damascus, but he was on the road, and Jesus came upon him on the road and showed him who he was and turned Paul. Paul was avid against Christians, and Jesus came to him and turned him, basically. Well, my whole idea that Jesus came here for was, you're not able to fully realize who and what you are as a part of God and make declarations of I am with fear of death after you die, not knowing that there's life after death. You slow yourself down. You restrict yourself from doing things that could be considerably fun or highly experienced and experience of joy and love and caring and these kind of things. If you have this fear of, if I do this stuff, that, I'm going to go to, if I go jump off a cliff and go skydiving or something like that, I'm going to die, and I won't come back and be able to experience anything more, so I'm not going to go skydiving. That's the whole idea. Jesus died on the cross and rose 3 days later to say, see people, I died and came back. There's life after death. And Jesus tried to prove this to Paul. Who was it? I think it was Paul. Maybe it was Peter. Paul or Peter walked on water with Jesus. It was Paul. No, it was Peter. Yeah, when Peter woke up, I think it was Peter. I'd have to look it up in the Bible. It's been a while since I've read the actual Bible. But one of his disciples, one of the main disciples, woke up while they were out on the Dead Sea in a boat. And there was a storm going on. And they looked out on the water. They couldn't find Jesus in the boat. And they looked down the water, and one of them said, I think it was Paul. I think it was really Paul now. Looked out and says, there he is. And Jesus beckoned to him, come to me. So Paul walked out on the water with him, walked to him. And when he got to him, he looked down and noticed he was walking on water and lost his faith. He started to sink. Jesus had to reach out and pull him up out of the water and said, why did you lose faith? You were there. You were equal with me. Oh God, sorry, I'm Christians. I didn't mean to offend you. But yeah, that was Jesus' messages. Thou is as equal as I am. Thou is as holy as I am, not I am holier than thou. And that's what Jesus' true message was, is that you and me are brethren. He says, verily, verily unto thee, what ye has done in the least unto my brethren, ye has done unto me. We are all one. We're all the same thing. We're all made of the same pieces. Our consciousness has been split up. God split himself in half. Split one half into an infinite amount of consciousness, left the other half about the size or as close to the original as he could be, because he took half of it and split it into the infinite. So all the infinite little pieces could look back and go, oh, that's what I am. Oh, look at that. That is what we're doing here. And we're here creating because that's what there is to do. And there's nothing else to do but live these lives, experience love, pain, anger, hatred, rejoice, depression, all these emotions and feelings and experiences you could possibly have through this life. That is what we are here doing. To be born, experience it all, die, and then be born again, choosing to forget everything again, and get to climb up the ladder once again. Because you know what? Eternity is a hell of a long time, and sitting there contemplating things and thinking about things got kind of boring. So we decided together, of course, we were all one, so we had to decide together, we're going to come down and do this. We're going to experience what we are, creators. So that's what we're doing. And that is my alternative look at Christianity. We'll talk about other things on another time. But once again, thanks for listening. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day, guys.